can't teach an old dog new tricks. Hi, I'm Gail Rubenstein, the founder and CEO of Retail Resilient. We teach car dealers all over the country how to sell more cars and make more money using social media platforms. Like I said, who says you can't teach an old dog new tricks? Check us out at retailresilient.com or send us a message in the chat bar on the AutoHub Show.
Recently, we were concerned about our recon time and decided to look into reconditioning workflow software. After doing our research, I can confidently say we finally found the software that was right for us. We love that it packs robust data, control precision, clear communications, and performance accountability, all onto my desktop or mobile, so I'm always in touch. Before this, we manually tracked our recon process. We just assumed we were doing okay. We were wrong. After someone in my 20 group told me he used this software to improve his recon time to sale to just 3 to 5 days, I just had to look into it. Their team of recon experts all have hands-on dealership experience. We all benefit from faster time to line, inventory turns, and competitive advantages. To learn more, visit rapidrecon.com.
Good morning.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, everyone.
Or good afternoon, depending where you are.
Yeah, and if anyone wants to link to the video, just let me know. It is on YouTube. It's a 15-minute video. I cut it down for time, and there's a number of other great examples. So I'm going to go ahead with our slide deck. 1 second.
And this is where the awkward pause is.
Go.
And now a word from Jeff Polo.
Hi. Hello,
Hi.
welcome.
Welcome to the AutoHub Show.
Here we go.
Yes.
It's thinking.
And that is why we like to log in early for technical difficulties. And the
We
only
need to get a
good thing
sponsor
is
for
Ian.
this awkward silence.
Exactly. I think so. We're working on it.
And now we have Jeff from Dealer Creative sponsoring the 1 minute of no
Awkward
airtime.
silence.
Yeah, of awkward silence.
All I can say is I'm really glad Ian's our tech guy.
Watching this right now.
So just so everyone knows, we have 2 sponsorships available. We have the gold sponsorship available and the bronze sponsorship available. We have a new sponsorship level, which is your logo here, as you can see in the stream. 3 books recommend. Sun Tzu, The Art of War, Up the Organization, which was featured in the video if you didn't see it today. Really interesting book. And then Eat Their Lunch by Anthony Iannaro, which is about getting business from your competition. Go ahead with the AutoHub Show disclaimer, Jeff.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us. We do put this disclaimer here just for one of the great commandments, which is covereth thy butt. And we basically say the opinions shown here are those of our guests and not necessarily reflect that the official position of the AutoHub Show or Ian Nethercutt or Jeff Polo.
Thank you. And now it's the performance show. So I'm just going into sharing screen. So we are live now. Go ahead, Jeff.
Well, thanks everybody again, and we appreciate everybody being here. And that video is something that's brilliant that this gentleman did, because as we're waiting for everybody to log in this morning, Ian and I were chatting, and there's so many dealers, and dealers are very interesting. These days, it's getting smaller and smaller. We have individual dealers that roll up their sleeves and get in there into the trenches and do things. And many of these many people that run these dealership groups or small segments of a group, many of them, we wonder, you know, how effective they're going to be by actually going into the store, because many of them are great at telling people what to do.
Right.
But like this gentleman, how many people can actually go in and put a pebble underneath that stone, underneath that pipe, to help things flow properly? And this is part of what we do. Part of the AutoHub Show. Our mission statement is we connect dealers with experts in their field and help them improve themselves. Neither Ian or myself profess to be experts. Well, I do, but you know. We want the right people to meet people. That's why, you know, we've been very lucky to attract you people to join us today. So thank you so much. And without further ado, we're going to introduce our guests to the How to Supercharge Your Performance in 2022 show. First of all, a new person to the show, and I kind of messed up on Danielle's professional connections, but is Danielle Jones, who's a sales specialist at Savannah Dodge Jeep and Ram in South Savannah, Georgia. Danielle, if you could take a moment and introduce yourself, thank you for being here.
Hi, thank you. It's okay. I was like, it said I was a marketing trainer or something. I was like, well, I hope my standards are up to y'all's needs because I sell cars at Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram South Savannah, and I've been in the automotive industry now for about a year. So I'm learning a lot, and I'm really excited to be on the show.
Terrific. Thank you. We do appreciate somebody in the sales side of things to be here because so many times we get people that are like Gail and like, Brian, et cetera, and Stan, et cetera, where we work on the periphery. Even though we all have car backgrounds, it's nice to have somebody who's out there every single day dealing with what's going on and helping to help themselves and others do better. So thank you. Next, we have with us Brian Maxwell joining us from Jacksonville, Florida, I think, and who's the sales trainer at his company, the Automotive Sales Professionals of America. So Brian, say hi to everybody. And for those of you who wonder why Brian's here twice, it's because the computer works one way and the phone works the other. So
yeah. Thank you guys for having me. As always, I have a blast when I come on, and I am based out of Jacksonville, but currently been operating out of more so Central Florida as of late. And the young lady, Danielle, it's funny that she's with Step One. I actually did business with them, an exclusive training agreement with them in 2018, going into 2019 with Fernando and those guys. Great dealer group over there. And I'm excited about 2022. I'm excited to be on the show. I'm excited to hear what some of the other panelists have to say and what we're going to do to help these dealers get rocking and rolling this year. So, I just look forward to what we got to talk about, man. So thanks again for having me.
Thank you very much. We appreciate your input. And a new person to our show, joining us, I believe, from somewhere in New Jersey, greater New York City area, Stan Scheer, I'm not sure, Stan, but president and founder of Dealer E-Training and an automotive sales trainer. Please say hello, Stan.
How's everybody doing? So as you mentioned, my name is Stan Scheer. I think you said it right. Been in the automotive industry celebrating 19 years this month. Actually at a dealership right now. We're building a centralized BDC. And just excited to be on the show. Recently published a book called Social Shares, The Skills That Pay the Bills. It's out on Amazon, Barnes & Noble. And looking forward to building a 2022.
Terrific. Thank you. And again, thanks for being here. And another newbie to our show, a gentleman I've connected to recently, is Jeff Hayes, who's the founder and creative director of Dealer Creative Marketing in Raleigh, North Carolina. And we're getting a good mix of people down in the U.S. South. So Jeff, say hi to everybody.
Hi, everybody. Good to be here. Thanks for having me today. Dealer Creative is a unique company in the automotive space in that all we do is serve dealerships on the creative side of their advertising. So TV commercials, radio commercials, online, social video, whatever it is, we're always focused about the message. And I love to talk about what we don't do. We don't do media. We don't do data. We don't do technology. We don't do your websites. We're just focused on helping you create a clear and focused message that will bring you more customers.
Terrific. That's great. Well, you know something which is a perfect fit because we've got people on the show that do data, do websites, but don't do it what you do. So thank you again. And last but not least, we have an old friend of the show, Everald Reed, founder of the Reed Method, business consulting, author, trainer, and more from Toronto, Ontario, representing more people up north here. Everald, please say hi to everybody and introduce yourself.
Well, hello, everyone. It's Everald Reed of the Reed Method Insider, my podcast. Published the Reed Method Sales Mastery Blueprint book about 3-4 years ago. Happy to be back on the show. Ian, I remember when I was writing the book and getting things going, he reached out to me a couple times with words of encouragement. So I appreciate that. And happy to be back on the show to contribute and to learn in whatever way we can today.
Terrific. Thank you. I'll tell you, when I grow up, I want to have a setup like you with that microphone and the little egg crate stuff on the wall. That's terrific. Ian, please take it away.
Yeah, thanks everybody. What do you think in terms of supercharge your performance really means? Let's start with Stan.
So to me, supercharger performance means that you, one, you go out, you get inspired, you network with fine folks like yourselves. You go out, you read, and you create yourself a game plan every day. And you opt in to perform at the highest level possible. And if you don't have those high level skills, you go out and you learn those skills so that you can get better. Really, it just comes down to how much you put into it, and how much you learn. If you are able to do those things, you will supercharge your performance.
Fantastic. Jeff.
Well, supercharging your performance, it kind of assumes that you're already doing something well. You're already doing something correctly. So to me, to supercharge your performance, it means adding something else to it, adding something that's going to help you go even faster, even further, and to help you be just that much more solid as you take that next step and that next step and that next step.
Fantastic. Brian.
Well, seeing what type of society we're in right now, the reading and all of that stuff is good. But one of the things that I've come to grips with that I realize is that today's society is big on images and obviously perception, right? And so I feel like on the dealership level, what we have to do is we have to find ways to incentivize and motivate these employees at the levels where they're at, as opposed to trying to get them to the levels and the ways we used to do it maybe 10, 15 years ago. Me sitting down reading Think and Grow Rich, or, some of these sales training books at that time was something that was internal. Well, we know that, most people today, reading is pretty much out. I think the attention span is down to 8 seconds. So as far as with supercharging, we have to start meeting our team members where they are, finding out what it is that they want, and then showing them how, by doing these things in a certain way, will definitely, take your performance and your production to another level. So I think, like right now, I myself have not gone out and physically trained in 2022 yet. Why? Because just like what we're telling dealerships to do, I had to fall back and I had to regroup on my processes and how I do things. What worked in 2020 and 2019 when I was soaring and flying high, obviously we're in a new world and may not necessarily be as effective today. So again, I'm meeting dealers where they are as opposed to where I wish they were. So I think in supercharging moving forward, it's got to be a lot more synergy, a lot more understanding, a lot more imagery put into it. And I think we're going to see a lot of things going on. But I think it's people meeting where they are and having a common objective and utilizing each individual's strengths to help attain it.
Fantastic. Danielle.
I love what Brian said, because as a salesperson, my thing is when they ask me a question, what does supercharger performance really means? It's basically being better. So I feel like on a normal day, I'm doing pretty well. Like I'm averaging 20 cars a month, but my goals are to be better. So at that point, right now, I'm trying to figure out, what do I define failures? What do I define as my successes? And having management staff that helps me understand that and lets me know, hey, this is what you can do to do better, then it definitely helps me out a lot. The way that I've been doing it is basically focusing on my energy. I feel like that's the most important thing. My energy is, when I'm having a good day, I am rocking, I am on point. And when I'm not having a good day, then I'm not. But my management staff, when they can actually understand like what I have going on and how I'm feeling, they're like, Danielle can use to pick me up today. That's exactly what I need. And that definitely transfers towards the whole energy, because I meant the whole environment to everybody in sales. And it also goes down to like service and detail and
That's it. No worries. Thanks for the input. Everall.
Yes, sir. Well, I think in the time that we're in right now, it's important that we come at this from a couple of angles. One, from a personal perspective. Obviously, our purpose, focusing on our purpose. What does it mean to supercharge myself for 2022? I'm going to dive deep down into what have I done to improve myself? What have I done to improve others? How can I convey to my prospective customers that I'm here to, offer them a better world than they came in to get, improve their circumstances, improve their lives. So, and from a dealership's perspective, I think there's a lot more empathy that needs to be put out there. Too many dealerships today are just still focused, disappointingly, just on the transactions and numbers. And I think it's going to have an adverse effect. Many salespeople and many management team have toughed it out for a couple of years. And I think they've not been given enough credit in order to sustain, and not enough thanks, in my opinion, to really be able to supercharge going forward. It's like, I think they keep being asked over and over and over to step up and to do more without the true appreciation necessary to sustain the type of sales and just be able to supercharge sales going forward in 2022.
That is so true.
Mhm.
Jeff.
Very well put. Everald, I have to tell you, I very much really value exactly what you just said there, because there's something that's really going on in our business. And if you ever want to find out somebody who's supercharged their business, not in the car business, but by treating people properly, follow a gentleman named Dan Price from Gravity Payments. There's a gentleman in Seattle who is basically, I think Gravity Payments is like Moneris, etc., but I'm not sure. But this is about 3 or 4 years ago, he decided to pay all of his employees a guaranteed good wage and gave up his $1 million bonus and started paying everybody $70,000 a year. In return, many of his what I call them, I don't want to say colleagues, but people in that position thought he was crazy. And in turn, their company stock shares went through the roof, their profits went through the roof. And he was, what was it, Ian? He was trying to hire for 100 positions or 20 positions and got 20,000 applicants.
Yeah, he has a new problem, which is that all his employees bought him a new car as a group. He's got retention numbers which are off the charts, and he's got I think it's 50 applicants for each new position. And he's in an industry that's really not that interesting, but clearly how he leads the company is why people are interested. So
yeah. And he posts a lot about treating people right. Moving right along off the tangent that I'm on, we've talked about how the business has changed, and our business right now is like going to the fair or to the exhibition and seeing that game with balloons there, but only they put 10 times the amount of balloons, and everybody comes in. If you've got a car, you can sell them. And why is it, in your opinion? Why should dealers, why should salespeople, and I'm glad, Danielle, you're here, because this is a great position to offer some reality to people. Why should they invest in improving performance when they don't have the product to sell? They don't have to change anything to get rich. And then, of course, once things change, there's going to be solutions providers knocking on their doors saying, oh, here's how you do it better. Why should they do that? And actually, I'm going to go to Jeff and ask you that opinion.
Well, if you kind of take that attitude of just kind of taking it easy, I almost feel like it's sort of lazy, but it's also sort of a defeated victim attitude. I mean, if you're, and it's also very short-term thinking, a short view of things. You've got to think about where the market is headed, and really who is coming after you. Because I guarantee you that if you're just sitting there, taking it easy, just sitting there counting all your money and just feeling really good about yourself, I guarantee you there's somebody out there who is plotting your demise. They are looking for ways to eat your lunch, and they're going to do it when you're not paying attention. Because when you take your hands off the wheel, that's when you're blind to everything. You're just not paying attention. I guarantee you there's somebody out there, whether it's another dealer or whether it's a third party like a Carvana or a CarMax or a Tesla or an EV manufacturer. Somebody's coming for you. And now is not the time to just think, hey, this is high times here. And where we're seeing this right now is dealers just cutting all their advertising. And if you become invisible right now, you may not see an immediate result to that or immediate effect to that. But I tell you, 6 months from now, 9 months, a year from now, if you've been fairly invisible in your market to your potential customers, you're going to be off the radar when inventory levels come back and when these other companies are plotting your destruction. I'm telling you, you're going to be so invisible, and you're going to wish that you had spent less time counting your money and more time thinking about, how do I revolutionize my business? How do I solidify my stance as a leader in the market so that when things come back, you're still on top.
Yeah, that's a terrific point. That's a very good advice for people. And Danielle, I'm going to go to you, because what popped into my mind is up here in Canada, we're starting to see a lot of advertising from Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, or Stellantis, or whatever name they're going by now, with the what we call the Warlock Edition Ram 1500, which is the classic Ram, because they're building them as fast as they can because they don't require as much fancy stuff. And they're advertising like crazy. Are you seeing that same thing down there? And then, of course, what's your opinion on improving when you don't have to improve to do as well as you can?
It's definitely a cocky feeling to say that you don't have to keep doing better, because at the end of the day, dealerships can be successful off of retention. So I've had a lot of customers come in and they're like, I've always had Rams. And there's some people that are like, yeah, I'm a Ford guy. I always buy Ford trucks. But if we continue to do better and continue to be better, then customers will continue to want to shop with you. If you just sit back and fall off the radar, then that gives another dealership an opportunity to take your customer, because then now they fell in love with the Ford, and now their next vehicles are Fords. I mean, I'm Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, so we have a bunch of different manufacturers where we have Ford, was 5, and Fiat. So people come in all the time and they're like, oh, I'm looking at a Charger. Then all of a sudden they're like, I'm looking at a Ram. And they're staying within the Mopar Stellantis family, which is very important to our business. And then all of a sudden they have a friend that's like, oh, I need a Charger too. And they all stay within the same group, like especially people that's in the same household, they usually stay within the same type of vehicles. But it's really important to just continue to keep being better, because it gives customers a different attitude towards your business. And also, I, as a salesperson, I love working for this company. We produce very good material, and they actually care about us. Just from the manufacturers, they care about us. But that's not always the case.
That's a great point. I have to tell you, it's so nice to hear somebody say at a dealership level, the manufacturer cares about them. And that's great, because we love to rag on the dealers. Everald, what's your opinion on this? We've left until the last every time out, so now you get to come right in the middle.
That's fine. I actually just typed it in. I think one of the mistakes dealerships can make at this time is taking too many things for granted. The fact that you can get all the growth you want and then some, you can sell all the products you want at full price and then some, and forget about your core business and your core principles, what got you to where you are in the first place. And forgetting about, again, looking after your staff, empathy, looking after building relationships between departments. To me, what dealers should be doing at a time like now is finding ways, having learned what we have learned in the last couple of years. There are some key people in dealerships. Every dealership has, 6 or 10 or 20 people that literally keep the buildings up. And if you lose those core people within that structure, within that organization, it easily collapses. I've seen it in dealerships. I've seen it in the one that I work with, where it's always the same people, that half the people are sick. It's the same 6 that come to the table. You need to fill in extra hours. It's the same people that they keep calling, right? So dealerships can't take their people for granted, and they can't take their customers for granted simply because, okay, you have to the easiest way to lose a loyal customer who you've had for 20 years is to take him for granted, because you can charge full price.
Use insurance
Somebody
card.
that's buying a car for the third, fourth, fifth, 10th time doesn't mean you should.
Perfect. No, that's such a great thing, and people are losing sight of some of that sometimes. Stan, what's your opinion on this question? Stan?
I'm sorry, I had to unmute. Dimitri, can you please repeat the question? I'm sorry.
The question is the way the business is right now with supply issues. Why should dealers try to improve themselves, because they're selling every car they can possibly get. They're making money hand over fist. They're getting rich without having to do anything well. And also in the end here, people like others here, they're going to be knocking on the door because they actually have something newer and shinier to tell them how to take advantage of things when they get a ton of cars. So why should they improve now?
I think that it's going to come down to a customer service issue. I think that, right now, we're getting, rich, fat, happy. We're making all the money. And, I think that a lot of people are taking it for granted in the business. They're making more money than they've ever made. And I think the customer service factor is a big issue. So I think that we need to really step up our game with how we treat customers, how we handle customers on the phone, how we answer leads, how we handle them in person. We're charging a lot of money. Our grosses are high. We need to provide the quality of service. And I see that a lot in dealerships where people just sell a car and they don't care about what happens, a year down the road. So we need to really just become more customer service oriented, in my opinion.
Awesome. Good point. And Brian.
All right. Well, I agree for the most part with what everybody was saying. I think we spent a lot of time and we really hammered down on the dealers and the salespeople, but really we have to come to grips with what type of reality we're actually in. Meaning that consumers coming in are a lot more informed. They also have a sense of entitlement, right? Where I myself, out of the thousands of dealerships I've trained at, or sessions I've done, and tens of thousands of salespeople I've trained, I've seen some that have their process down, their personality and attitude is exceptional. But today's consumers coming in, they know the game. They're walking in expecting something more than what they probably should have or can afford. They're expecting to be put on this pedestal and treated like a king or queen, regardless of what type of attitude or energy they're giving out. And we're asking the sales reps to go out and fight, not fight, build value as high as they possibly can in this particular product with a consumer who's going to do everything they can to beat this person down and almost try to make it to where they don't get compensated anything. So I think where it really lies in at is preparing the sales associates and the management team in real world of what's happening. Meaning that, listen, we may not get all the money, but we need to go for all the money. Meaning that it's a little bit more than being polite nowadays. You can smile and kiki and whatnot, but if you aren't exceptional at your ability to ask questions and move an individual from one step to the next step and being able to explain yourself and articulate and justify, whether it be your price points, whether it be their ability or inability to be able to get this particular vehicle. I think that's where it all lies in at, is more preparation for real world. We talk a lot about being polite and we talk a lot about building value, but how do you do that? That's where I think is lacking at, because we tell them to do it, but how is it done? And I'm finding out most members that are sitting behind a desk, sometimes even running a store, struggle with that aspect of it. So again, it's meeting people where they are and realizing that it's more than just a smile. You have to be able to articulate and educate and to reduce having to negotiate. That might have been a little long-winded, but I hope y'all get what I'm saying.
There's no question we get that. And it actually reminds me of somebody I was talking to that went into a dealership and they wanted to see a particular vehicle, and the salesperson said, "Yeah, don't have one, sorry." And I said, "Okay, well, what can you tell me?" "I don't have one, sorry." Forget the smile. They had become so jaded and the customer left and went to literally across the street and bought something they didn't want because that person was engaged.
Right, as the least engaged.
Exactly. And I think I've got everybody for this question because I always forget people. But Ian, move on and ask somebody if I didn't.
Thanks, Jeff. In your opinion, as an accomplished marketing and/or training professional, how does a dealer truly decide what options to choose from to make a difference and supercharge their business today? Why don't we start with a marketing person for kicks? Let's start with Jeff.
Well, I think that if the question starts with what options do I choose from, we're really getting way ahead of ourselves. So often we'll have people, dealers come to us and say, hey, I need a commercial for such and such, but they haven't taken the time to really get clear on what their goals are and what their outcomes really are. So when we think about what options to choose from, I think we have to slow down for a second and think about, well, what do you really want to achieve? And really, who is the audience and who is the customer here? What are their what are their wants? What are their needs? What are their desires? What are their problems? What are the things that are holding them back from getting what they want? And when we focus on our customers first, instead of thinking about all the tech platforms and all the things that are available to us as far as marketing goes, let's go back and get clear on, well, what do we really want to accomplish and who really is our audience? Once we've got that really nailed down, then the options become very, very clear and the strategy kind of plays out and kind of writes itself from there.
Fantastic. Danielle, why don't we get a totally different opinion? What do you think?
I think she was with a customer.
She's with a
Oh,
customer.
there you go.
No problem. There you go.
But I really was piggybacking off of what Brian was just saying about how we're definitely supposed to be nice to customers because we really do appreciate their business. I mean, the business doesn't stop. I mean, they literally make the business. But being too nice to people, sometimes they take advantage and they want everything for nothing. And sometimes they get a little bit ungrateful. I mean, you can give somebody everything, all of the gross. Like from the manufacturer, we're really supposed to give you MSRP minus discounts, rebates. Give you anything more, that's just giving you more money that we didn't really have to give you. But we want to be happy. We appreciate it. I promise we do. But at the same time, it's like play fair because, I mean, you go in all these other different places. You go to Dillard's, you go to Walmart. I mean, if you want a Walmart shirt, you're going to walk in Walmart. If you want a Dillard's shirt, Polo shirt, you're going to walk in Polo. You're not going to negotiate prices. So you don't have to. I mean, but people are so used to being taken advantage of and they're scared. So they're like, I want to make sure I'm not paying too much for this vehicle. And it's like, I understand, but this is the price of the vehicle. I mean, but I think it was Jeff just saying about somebody walked into a dealership and the customer was asking them about, they want to see this vehicle. So me, I'm always like, hey, I'm going to give you what you want, but at the same time, I'm going to be very realistic for you. So I had a customer that came in Saturday and they were like, is this truck available? And I was like, yeah, truck for a test drive. Love the truck and everything. And I was like, I didn't really do my job as I should have. But afterwards, I was like, well, what are you budgeting yourself at monthly wise? $500 a month. Truck was $50,000. So I was like, realistically, if you're trying to make that happen, I know you love this truck. Either you're going to pay for this truck or I'm going to find you another vehicle that's in your price range. So they ended up settling out for a Charger SXT and they loved it, which they're happy. But being very realistic with these people is I can get one, but at the same time, you can't take everything because I'm not going to lose $20,000 just to sell you a vehicle. It's not that serious.
Right.
Thanks very much. Stan?
I think Stan just left. He might have got disconnected.
Oh, there you go. Can't hear you. He's coming.
I'm sorry. I said I had to reset my Zoom. I missed like the last 2 minutes.
No
I
problem.
apologize.
We're talking about investments. So we're talking about from a dealer point of view, how should a dealer decide what options to choose to supercharge their business today?
What options to choose as far as investments? I mean, I think that I know a lot of dealers they're stopping their marketing, so I think that they shouldn't. I think they should keep investing in marketing. I think that they need to continue to invest in customer acquisition. I do think that dealerships do need to train more. Like I said earlier, we're getting to the point where we're making money and we're not, we think that this gravy train is going to keep going and it's eventually going to stop. And the problem in our industry is, we keep going and then we don't prepare for what the future is going to do. So I think that we need to really invest in some solid training, modern day training, to understand how the customer shops and understand how to have good customer service. I think that's probably one of the biggest investments a dealership should make. They need to be prepared for what's coming in the next 6 months.
Appreciate that. Very concise. Everett.
Mhm.
Are you there, Everett? Oh.
Yes, I am. Sorry. I think the core investment should be from the inside out, really. We've learned a lot about the customer right now, where they are reactive, they're purchasing, the sales are out there and are available. People are paying, list price for most vehicles and others. But I think the investment going forward should be within personnel, infrastructure, training, again, really focusing on your people, because you just have to look back at the last couple of years and give thanks that, some dealerships have been affected more so than the others. Some businesses have been affected more so than the others, but I think it's a pretty big deal. I mean, and I'll give you a solid example right now. And this is not something that I've shared publicly very much at all, but we're all on this call, talking about dealerships and ways to improve, but a lot of people have personal issues. And, 7 months ago, I lost my wife to cancer. And, but who's going to talk to me at work about that? Who's going to be there to hold me up? We all have personal issues. And I'm really sick of the whole, transactional attitude of our business, where everything is just focused on numbers. And, if you have a great month and the dealership has a great month, everything is great. But come the first of the month, it starts over and you're a bum again. And I think that mentality is something that just needs to go out the window, because it frankly doesn't help anybody. So investing in people is important. At the dealership that I'm at, I'm thankful to be able to train and to travel and still have an office at Lexus where I've been for decades. But I see it. People look for other people that they can speak to, that they can share their experiences with, they can share their life with, because we spend so much time at our workplaces that we often forget that this is the place we're at more than we are in our homes, even in the pandemic. So it's such an important factor to invest in people.
Everald, I think that was like the most important takeaway for me on the entire show, is investing in your employees' mental health. Because everyone on the show knows the car business is a little chaotic, and your mental health is super important.
Huge.
Yeah.
But you also did bring up the most important thing in the car business, which is you're only as good as your last month.
Yeah.
And that's not just the car business, that's pretty much any business.
Everald, if you need someone to talk to, a very regular guest of the show, Troy Glenn lost his first wife to breast cancer, so I'm sure he'd be happy to share some learnings. My wife fought breast cancer in 2020 and survived, thankfully, but it's tough. If you need someone to talk to, just ask. Thanks for sharing. Brian?
All right. Now, piggybacking off of what Everald and everybody else was talking about, and I'm not sure how many other folks on here outside of Everald, myself, are actually that go into stores and train. And I do believe that investing in the staff and all that, as you guys, if you've ever heard me on any other shows or any of my training material that's online, I'm a firm believer in training. And also in the mental health of the employees, because what I see and what some of you probably do see, right now you got dealerships are understaffed, you got consumers that are wanting to buy. And let's just be real, if they had a problem with training prior to COVID and all of this stuff, we already know then. Now with the shortage of staff, inventory, and the hustle and bustle, there's really no time to train. And so when hiring is done based on the pretense that these folks are somehow self-motivated, love to read, and love to educate. And it's just not so. Even when we were in school, we hated it. And so now when we're out of school, anything that resembles it, we resist it like the plague. So what we have to do is go back to where training becomes incentivized and fun. And let me give you an example. Several stores that I've worked with over the years, what we did was we instituted a rewards program based off steps in the process, meaning every Monday there was a qualifying contest. When you go into the meeting, there were 2 reps that were going up against each other to see who could go through the qualifying process the best. Now, not necessarily best, it was based off a grading scale. So both could hit a 10, so they both could be incentivized. So it wasn't a one does great, the other one. But guess what happened? The prize of it was to be able to get off work a half a day early, right? As crazy as that sounds, people busted their ass to be able to become great at qualifying, to have time off work. Now, knowing that you make your money at work, they did what they had to do so they can get time off. Because prior to that, nobody was focusing in on the process. Same thing with the demo. Every month there was a demo contest. Everyone could win the $50 gift card if you hit the points. And guess what? People worked harder for that $50 gift card than they did just to get better, to close a deal, to make some money. So investing in training and investing in the people is great, but we have to create ground level incentivized contests and rewards to where these people are learning and improving their skills in spite of themselves, which will in turn help the dealership and help the customers. So I think that that's what has to happen in 2022. We got to shake the old and some of the old, embrace the new, and again, meet people where they at through incentivized training and rewards programs.
Thanks very much. Jeff?
If I can just jump in a little bit there, please. So the example that was given initially, where the gentleman had given out his bonus, shared his bonus with his employees. I mean, that's probably one of the biggest moves he's ever made, because it increased the value of his company so much. It's no different than in dealerships that, we're not talking necessarily about dealers splitting their bonuses and splitting their millions, but it's kind of the same principle, where if you empower individuals to be better people, better versions of themselves, it's easier to train the concepts of sales and what to say and how to say. But at the end of the day, sales is about successful salespeople are great communicators, great at conveying value, building relationships, building a camaraderie that someone says, even if they leave their dealership, they'll go somewhere else and get a poor experience and come back and buy from you. But I think, to agree with my friend that previously spoke, I think it's so important to identify that if we can just give a little love and give a little attention to the people that work on a personal level, and how can you improve yourself as an individual? If you improve, and one of the things I teach in my personal development session is, if you improve the individuals within your dealership literally just 10%, can you imagine what collectively that does to an organization?
My God, that's huge. That's huge.
Yeah.
That's very deep, and I have to say that combining what Brian said, then and Everold, the fact that motivation is what creates everything, and desire, and I've many times seen salespeople work so much harder for that $50 gift card, and it's not the $50, it's just for that attainment of something tangible, because frankly, these days that you're given electronic paychecks, you know what? That's fine. That's great. I remember the old days walking around with a wad of envelopes and handing out paychecks to people, and they'd be like, I hate to say it'd be like pigeons when you're sitting in the park.
Yeah.
Moving right along. For some brands, it's going to take them years to catch up on the backlogs, or in some cases, and I hate to say it, one of my old brands, Toyota, they're so strong that the dealership itself probably doesn't have to be good to to do business. Why bother doing this? I mean, again, it's sort of the same question we've asked already. But if you're that brand, if you've got such a backlog and you got order banks up the proverbial wazoo, why bother trying to be better? And Jeff, I'll ask you that.
Why bother being better? Are you human? I mean, if you're, this is a probably more of a character question than anything else. You know, we're all given one life to live on this planet, and meant to do something, to make an impact, to change something, to improve something. So if you're just going to say, well, hey, I'm set for the next 3 years, and you don't want to do anything to improve yourself, to improve your organization, then why bother? You know what? In fact, if that's your attitude, consider selling. You know what?
Yeah.
Cash in. If you think you're at the high point, then make the most of it and step aside and let somebody else do it, because ultimately, maybe you're designed to do something else. If you really feel like now's the time to just to sit back and do nothing. On the other hand, if you feel like, wow, all this is just being handed to me right now, look at this as an opportunity to continue to improve, because you've got some breathing room now. You got a little bit of a buffer. You got extra cash. So how can you reinvest that to become a better organization? Invest in your people. How can you help them achieve their goals and help them to take their lives and their families' lives to the next level? So to even ask the question, why bother? I think really goes to a person's character. And why bother? Because you're human. Because you were born to do something great. So get after it.
Positive
Great point.
impact.
I love it.
I do have to say that you kind of hit the nail on the head there, because in 2009, I took over a Toyota store. And at that time, it was right after in Canada, we had what they called Access Toyota, which was fixed pricing. And Everald, you probably remember that. And, so what it was is somebody came in and said, okay, I'll take that Corolla. What's your best price? And they'd say, that is the best price. Okay, well, I'll give you 200 less. No, I'm sorry, you'll have to leave. It wasn't that bad. But I took it over and I'm trying to make it better. And the salespeople were all resisting me because, no, we don't have to. Do you know who we are? Do you know how great we are? Yeah. And I hammered and hammered and hammered. And lo and behold, in 2011 came the combination of the tsunami and the recalls. And I had salespeople coming to me and thank you very much for teaching us what we had to do when we're behind the 8 ball. But Brian, tell me something. What do you think? Why bother?
I mean, now when we say why bother, just making sure that I answer on the side of the business providing the training services, or from the sales side, or combination of both?
Anything you think.
Okay, well, I say why bother is like this. At the end of the day, we still are in an industry, regardless of the shady reputation it may have. We still are in an industry where somebody that has a high school diploma or a GED has the opportunity to provide a very respectable lifestyle for themselves and for their family. And then on the consumer side, regardless of how much we hate going in to deal with these sales reps at these stores, almost as much as we hate dealing with lawyers, it still is a necessity to make sure that we have reliable transportation, to get to and from. So I think that as far as the effort or the need for consumers and for sales associates to still try to better understand each other, because at the end of the day, neither one of us is going anywhere. I think I saw a report that said if you took all the salespeople and you shut down sales for 24 hours around the world, that the world would literally shut down, from the ketchup packets to the little white casings that go on the straws. We're a necessity. So I say, why bother? Because it's just the right thing to do. At the end of the day, we all want to be respected and loved by somebody. And that person is sitting on the other side of that table from us. We have no idea whether they are a loner, whether they have nobody in their family that gives a damn, whether they've ever accomplished anything in their life. Maybe this purchase is the singular best thing that they will ever have happen. At the end of the day, if we're on the other end of that and we're the ones lucky enough to have the opportunity to help them, we owe it to them to help them make the smartest and the safest buying decision that they possibly can. So I think just like the gentleman, I believe his name is Jeff, said earlier, it's just because we human, man, and it's the right thing to do.
Thank you very much. That's an exceptional point. And, you know, we ask this because so many people are saying, and I mean, you know, Ian's even come this in his business, where somebody says, well, why do I need that for? I don't need that. It's fine. But Stan, what's your opinion on this? Stan?
Sorry, I had to unmute myself. Yeah, everything just keeps coming on and off out here. I apologize for that. Even my phone it's not standing right. I'm sorry. Again, can you repeat the question?
Not a problem. I mean, really, it's good. Some places, some stores, some brands, some products, it's going to take years to catch up to the backlog. And so why should somebody improve? From their standpoint, why should they bother to start supercharging themselves now?
Because the reality of it is, it's all about the future. Like I said earlier, I believe that it's, you know, you have to start planning ahead. You have to start planning for your success. And, you know, you have to better your skills. And that's really the only way to supercharge. The reason why to supercharge that is you need to focus on, you know, where you're going. For, you know, you've been somewhere, that's great, but now focus on what the future lies. You know, supercharge your skills so that you can essentially be better than you are today. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. I mean, I don't see, like, for myself, like, you know, I had an interest in 2021. Yeah, it was profitable. You know, I had a lot of tragedies go down, right? And just in the last 26 days, I lost my mom and my grandpa, right? And I was down.
Sorry
And
to hear that.
Thank you. I put all my skills in the back. I was, you know, I didn't work for a month and a half, and I kind of just let things sit by the wayside. But then, like, the last couple of days, I'm just, you know, right the day after my grandpa's funeral, I got fired up, and, like, here I am, I'm, like, ready to rock and roll again. And because I got tired of being in that situation where, okay, I'm going to just sit there and sulk. You know, I have a purpose, and I think that it would make my loved ones that passed away, I would make them proud. So, you know, and I certainly want to reach higher levels than I was at. I want to reach higher levels than they were at. And that's really the reason to supercharge is you just want to be better than you were yesterday. And of course, like I said, there's a lot of new things coming out, new technologies, even the way that people are shopping. You know, we're going to have a rude awakening coming up, you know, once inventory levels get normal. And so we're going to have to, you know, continue business the right way. You know, in order for us to succeed.
Well, it's an interesting point that just came to my mind is the fact that unlike other businesses right now, the car business can't afford to downsize. We can't afford to cut our lots back. Maybe we don't need to build Taj Mahals, but because pretty soon we're going to have inventory, and until such point as the manufacturers start going to agency setups where they have huge storage yards, we're going to have to deal with that.
They're going to try to do and this, I'm sorry to jump in, but I have a feeling manufacturers are going to try to do this Carvana way. I really do believe that they're going to try it for a second. I really do. I feel like in the next couple of years, they're going to try to go manufacturer to direct to consumer. They're going to try it.
Well, if you see what, first of all, we're doing a show on this, just so you know, but also if you see what General Motors just did in reaction to Toyota beating them for the first time, it's clearly a book out of a page out of the Carvana book. But Jeff, we're out of time, so anyone have any final comments?
Back off of that last question. So the biggest thing is in this industry is to not be complacent, because even if your manufacturer is doing really well during the whole COVID thing, they're not backed up. Like, I know Toyota, we have a Toyota right down the street from us, and there's a lot of people, I drove by there when I first got here, and they didn't have anything on their lot. Their lot was completely empty. But we had a lot of vehicles, and we've been pretty successful throughout this whole COVID thing. Like, our lot has been full nonstop. We're one of the few dealerships on this Abercorn street that has inventory. So partially customers are going to go back to Toyota because they love Toyotas. Toyotas run really well. But at the same time, people are like, well, I don't want to wait 6 months to a year to get a vehicle. I'm not going to wait. So I'm going to go try something different. I mean, you can always trade a vehicle whenever you want to. So a lot of people are like, I'm going to go try something different. And then, I mean, if you fall back and you're just chilling and you don't care what your consumers do, then they might fall in love with somebody else. And then it's going to be a little while till you get them back.
Yep. No complaints.
Just
I
because
have to
you're
tell you,
better doesn't mean that the other people aren't. So don't get lazy.
I have to tell you something, Danielle. Just met you, and I got to tell you, you've got energy. You've got an aura about you that me being thousands and thousands of miles away from you, I would have no problem referring a customer to you. And I would like to be a customer of yours because you can just feel your commitment and just your presence is terrific.
I think I know Daniel. Daniel, were you there when I was training there?
No, I just started in May of 2021.
Okay, tell all your finance people, Brian Maxwell, and that's in North and South. Tell them Brian Maxwell said hello and watch the reactions to see what's that reaction.
I definitely will. I appreciate it. I love it. I'm doing pretty well here. I'm one of the top salespeople here. The biggest part about my experience here is just my managers treat me very well, and that's why. And I just working here. I feel comfortable. And now I'm just at a point where I'm just trying to do better and be better, but them pushing me forward. And I told them about this meeting today and they were like, it's okay. You can do it because everybody can't just do it.
That's because of your great attitude as well, why they're treating you so well. So you know, it's really you. So congratulations on an amazing start.
Yeah, keep it up.
All right, we're out. Any other last comments, Jeff?
Thank you. Wow, what a great show. This was a lot of fun and some great people. And every one of you added a tremendous amount here. And I have to say, there's not many places out there that you can get, you know, somebody like Jeff Hayes, who's a marketing person and a promotional person with trainers like Everald and Brian and Stan, and to mix with Danielle and on the sales end, because frankly, we're proving that the salespeople aren't the bottom part of the totem pole. Everybody's equal.
Yeah.
So thank you all for joining us.
I think that's great. I mean, I hope y'all have more salespeople on, because sometimes, you know, we all are out of the trenches kind of, and sometimes getting that ground level perspective is cool, you know?
Yeah. I think we all have to watch it because Danielle's going to be the next big thing in the car business. You're going to have to watch her, seeing her making you know, being at a TEDx or at NADA.
Yeah, I hope so.
For sure.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Thanks. Have a great week.
All right, you guys too. As always.
Bye-bye.